What's going on, guys? Gas Station here, giving you the third 20,000 subscriber podcast where I answer your questions. And today, as the title may have suggested, I have a guest. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. What's going on? This is Stevie with Lucky Crit.
Yes.
How's it going?
So, Lucky Crit, I actually checked you out when I first saw one of your first SOV videos. But like, are you kind of like on the come up, or have you been around YouTube for a while? Because I've kind of only recently heard of you, but you've been putting out some great stuff lately.
Yeah. So, actually, what's funny is the first time I heard about you was when I think you did the reaction video to the Nintendo Direct for Fire Emblem, which is pretty funny. I think you're like almost in tears, right? That was so awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I think you retweeted like one of the earlier episodes we did, which I thought was awesome. So thank you for that.
Oh,
and,
yeah. No problem.
Yeah, this channel was originally supposed to be like a group channel with some friends. We started it like last April, so it's been about a year. And things have been, kind of switching up. It's pretty much just me at this point, but we started off like last summer with the whole Pokemon Go craze. Like we really got into that for a while, and then now I just knew that I had to make like an episode about Shadows of Valentia, because once we saw that was getting redone, like that was just so hype for me. So yeah, I mean, Lucky Crit was derived from, getting critical hits in Fire Emblem. So
yeah,
there was just a lack of like Fire Emblem stuff on this channel for a while. And that's kind of like my bad, because sometimes it's difficult for me to like be passionate in like more than one game series, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Like you get like really interested and hyped about one thing and you kind of just keep going in that direction. So yeah, so then, we started doing the Shadows of Valentia stuff for, the Fire Emblem Echoes game coming out. And yeah, it's just been like snowballing from there. People have been liking the videos, so
yeah. You seem to have like pretty extensive knowledge on Gaiden. Like, what's your Fire Emblem sort of history? Like, how many games have you played, and like what's your sort of background on Fire Emblem?
Yeah, so I'm actually I'll ask you the same question too, because I'm wondering about you. So for me, I didn't get the first Fire Emblem 7 that we got here in the West. I didn't get it like on launch, but it must have been a couple months after, or like the next year, because I was reading through like an old Nintendo Power or something, and they had like some kind of like chapter 1 through 5 like guide, and I just like it was so interesting to me. And so I ended up asking around like my friends, and somebody on my bus to school ended up having it, and like he didn't care for it anymore. So I bought it from him, got completely, obsessed with it at that point. Then for Sacred Stones, I knew Sacred Stones was coming out after that. I must have been like paying attention. Even though back then, the internet was like so much more primitive. Yeah. But maybe I had like the current Nintendo Power or something or whatever. But yeah, so then I've played every English Fire Emblem since then, and I've played a little bit of 12 that we didn't get translated, but the nice fan translation is there, so that's fun. Yeah. Yeah, I've been a huge fan since. And how about you?
Well, much like a lot of young chaps in North America, I first saw Roy and Marth in Super Smash Bros. Melee.
Yep.
And I was like, what the hell? Like, these guys have swords. Like, Marth can do the C. I thought Roy was better than Marth at first, because like Roy just had more like destructive looking moves. I didn't really know anything about like who's good in Melee or not, and so I always just played with Roy. And then I saw Fire Emblem like at my Walmart in the tech section. I was like, holy shit, I want to try this out. I thought Eliwood was Roy, like everyone else thought he was, and I was like, I don't know where Marth is, but this guy with the blue hair looks like he could be him. Turns out Hector was not Marth. And there was also this green-haired girl who I had no idea who, but it didn't really matter because I thought Eliwood was Roy. And so I played the game and I was like, whoa, this is so amazing. Like, it was a bunch of fun. And then at the end, you see Roy and Lilina, and I'm just like, oh, okay, but who's Marth though? and then the intrigue of patching FE6, and then looking at the history of the games, and you realize that this is actually like a really like it's been dated back to from 1990. So it's like I've played it in 2003, but there's 13 years of Fire Emblem like that was in history. And I was like, what the hell? I thought this was like this new IP and shit. No. Yep. I didn't even know FE6 was a thing. Like I thought FE7 was like the first game ever. And then when people were like, no, they have Roy and they have FE6 in Japan. That's why Roy's really popular. And I was like, what?
Right.
Yeah.
Because they do that thing where when they localize stuff, if it's like the first one we're getting, they just call it the straight up name, you know, so it's not confusing to people, but that like really makes things confusing later if you get more of them.
Yeah, it was straight up just called Fire Emblem, which is like, I guess it makes sense because it's the first one we get.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty mind blowing to see how like popular this franchise actually was, and then it was like Sacred Stones, then Path of Radiance, and all that shit, and then now we're here.
Yes.
Now we're making videos on it for money.
Yeah. Yeah, and Gaiden came out in 1992. That's the year I was born, so it's like it's been a while since that game. And I actually I've been kind of like joking around with commenters and people that have been asking me. I haven't actually played Gaiden, but I knew a fair bit about it, because if I had to like pick like my top favorite Fire Emblem game of all time, even though I like all of them, I think I really have to say like Sacred Stones, because it was at that point, like, you know, I experienced the original Fire Emblem 7 that we got here in the West, and then like everything that I wanted, like more added into it, was like in Sacred Stones, because we had the world map, we had like all the monsters to fight. I like the towers and the ruins and stuff, and the branch promotions. So I thought that was really, really cool. And the fact that that's basically like a Gaiden spiritual successor, like especially because Ephraim and Erica get their own like different paths too. It's like, clearly I knew that I was gonna like this game, and then when I did research like later on, like wondering more about Fire Emblem, I realized like, oh, this is basically like Gaiden 2.0, you know?
Yeah.
So I knew that with Echoes I was gonna really like it, and so I just started making sure, double checking everything, trying to get the correct information out there, and I really wanted to compare it to see like what they would change, because last time around, I mean the last remake that we got here in the West was 11, which was Shadow Dragon, Marth's game, and a lot of people didn't like that game. I personally like it, but they kind of, you know, made some mistakes, I guess, not bringing over support conversations, like not upgrading it to the point where it had them, because, you know, obviously it didn't originally, but people didn't like that, you know?
Yeah.
So I was wondering with this game, like how far they would take it, like how much they were going to stick with the original source material and how much they were going to change it, and I'm actually pleasantly surprised, so that worked out.
Yeah, me too. It really seems like it seems more of a remaster than FE11 was, for sure. Yeah. Which is really good. And honestly, like, when I first saw the trailer, I was just like, I don't even care if it's like shit. I don't care. I mean, this is gonna be my favorite game. Like, it's just gonna be my favorite game ever.
Right. I feel like, sorry about that. I feel most people hate Shadow Dragon. They think that's probably like the worst one ever. But I actually really like that one. So even if this was like, quote unquote, as bad as that, I would be fine, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, dude, I just it's kind of surreal sometimes. Like, when it first came out, I was like, there would be times where I'd be sitting down or be lying on my bed and I'm like, Gaiden's being remade. Like, I would straight up just be like, just thinking about Gaiden actually, sorry, that's the sprinkler room going off. I live right next to a room for the sprinklers, but at this point it's kind of like a meme on the channel where it goes off during a stream, because it's really obnoxious and loud and you can really tell.
Gotcha.
But yeah, when it was announced, there was times where I was like legitimately wondering if this is real life. Like, is this real right now? Like, it's I'm so excited for it, and I really hope my capture card gets fixed and sent back by the 20th. That would be super unfortunate if I missed the release.
Sorry about that, by the way. So you shipped it off and everything, right?
Yeah. It's just in Utah, and I'm like Canada, so I don't know how many business days. She said like 7 to 8, but who knows? But anyways,
hopefully soon, man.
Yeah, hopefully soon. Hopefully it happens. Hopefully it comes. Yeah, yes. I've been keeping myself busy doing some other content related things. But so guys, for this podcast, it's going to be like the same format, but Stevie and I are going to be both answering questions. So we left off on a fuck, marry, kill, and I thought it was really funny. But we're going to hop on with this next question by Sluffy Gamer. And it's, hey Gast, have you watched any animes? And if you have, what's your favorite? Now I'm honestly not huge on anime, but I'll tell you what, the most recent one I saw, this is a funny story. I was like really baked one night, and my friend was talking about High School DxD. Did you ever hear about this anime?
No, I have not.
Okay, well, it's one of those animes that are like crazy self-aware and like super like overly sexual, and it's like one of those animes where the dub is more funny than like anything else ever.
Oh, that's good actually.
Yeah, and it was like it had to do like this. The protagonist was like he was this high school loser. It's a harem anime, and he's this high school loser, but like the dub just makes him out to be this really like charming and like embarrassingly funny total like dork, but like his lines are hilarious. Like they use like any possible slang term for boobs, like it's so funny, and it's the first season left me in tears the entire time, and I think that's like one of the most recent animes I've seen, and that was like 2 summers ago.
Yeah,
so it's been a while.
Are you saying the dub makes it better because it's like bad, or intentionally bad, or like actually good?
Oh, well, the dub makes it better because it's just hilarious. Like it's a hilarious dub. Like they don't
like a good job then.
Yeah, they just use lingo and slang that's just like really funny to like our generation.
Okay.
Type of thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah. All right. So what about you? You watch any anime?
So Attack on Titan season 2 is like slowly churning out episodes every week now because it just like came back. It's been like 4 years after the first season. Yeah. So I was in college at the time that the first season came out, and everybody was so obsessed with it. So they told me to watch it, and I watched it, and I liked it. There were some things that I didn't like, but for the most part, I thought it was really great. And now my friend, my good friend Cameron, has been like bugging me to like watch it and catch up to the second season so we can like talk about it. So I just completely rewatched like the first season, and I haven't been watching anything for a while, but he like pressured me into doing it. So now I'm starting to catch up with season 2, and I like it so far. It's good. Yeah.
Is that your favorite though?
Okay. All right. Favorite of all time, I'm gonna say Death Note, because I don't know, it was so good, and I watched it with the dub too, and I thought that the dub voices were really, really good. Yeah. Some people didn't like I guess certain parts of Light's voice in the English dub, like especially like his crazy laugh at one part.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I thought it was better. So I just love that show. It's sad to see it over, but at least it's not going the way of like Naruto and stuff, where it just there's so many episodes that it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's almost better when they're shorter, and then you could like enjoy it, and it doesn't like outlive its, the good episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually, now that I think about it, did you ever watch Code Geass?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, yes. I loved that show. Oh my god, I watched. It was like the most insane. It was like the most mind-blowing stuff. I've actually written a paper on it for school.
That's
pretty
like awesome.
It was actually like a philosophy class, and I wrote it on Code Geass. I don't even know if I still have it, but it was one of the most enjoyable papers I've ever had to write, because I was literally like on the wiki, just like referring to like episodes and stuff, and it's just like, oh, it was a great show. It was a fantastic show.
Like, did you write about like the morality of it or something like that? Like the eye power? Was it about that?
I don't know if it was about like I don't even remember. I talked about how Britannia and Area 11 like closely mirrored like
the real world,
like nationalists and like the native like indigenous peoples.
Mm-hmm.
Canada has kind of a awful history with the treatment of like indigenous people, so it was interesting to draw parallels between the white man and Area 11 type stuff.
And I think they like imply subtly, or maybe not so subtly, because I think they show it at one point in like maps, but I'm pretty sure like Britannia is supposed to be like as if Britain took over like everything, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Something like that. Yeah, that was a good show too. At first I was mad because I was like, wait, this seems like Death Note, but instead of like the notebook, he's got like an eye power. And like to me that was like, no, why would you copy it? But then I saw it and I was like, wow, this is like amazing in its own right. And then I think I liked it too because it gave me like more, like where Death Note like stopped and like left you wanting more, like that kind of picked it up for me, because I saw Geass after. So yeah, I definitely like that show too. And did you see they're making a new season of that?
Yeah, I'm so hyped for that.
I haven't like looked into that, but I might have to rewatch that again too at some point.
Okay. So next one. Oh, this is one I think. Oh, this is Wadudo asks, "What's your favorite and least favorite color?" I'm saying blue, and I think my least favorite color is orange.
It's funny. I was thinking about that. I have to agree with you. I'm team blue. Least favorite. I gotta say brown, because in the fall time here, like when everything dies and it's just like brown and dead for so long, you just start hating seeing that color everywhere.
Fair enough.
I don't know how your area is, but like, I mean, fall is fun. Like when the leaves come down, I really like that. But when everything is just dead for so long throughout winter, it's just so ugly and bad. And like right now, what is it? It's almost May, and like so summer's gonna begin soon, but we're just like finally getting spring at this point, right? Like the grass is finally green again. Like, ugh.
I feel that, but at the same time, I find spring is like the temperature of spring is like the best. I love spring. I love spring. I don't like winter that much. I don't like autumn that much. Summer's sometimes way too hot, but spring is like that crispy, like transitioning into a warmer season type of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, beauty.
And it feels amazing too after you've had all those cold months. Yeah. It's exciting.
Yeah. Okay. So, Colin McG, what characters do you want represented in Fire Emblem Warriors?
Ooh.
I think I might have answered this question already, but I actually forget. I think I answered Ephraim. I think he'd be a really cool addition.
Yep.
And there was just like these ones where I would wish, but it probably isn't going to happen, like Dusel or like Mulder. Because you
really like them, yeah.
Yeah, these guys are never gonna. These guys are like not even popular to begin with, but like, yeah, I think I don't know who actually answered. There's so many ones to go for, but I think Ephraim would be a really cool addition, and like maybe Innis or Takumi. But what about you?
Yeah, what's funny actually is when I first played Sacred Stones, I hated Mulder, but I went back a couple years ago to like do a better save of it, and I actually really like Mulder now too. I don't know, for some reason as a kid I was like, I don't like this dude with the mustache, like he's just too old, get out of here.
that was exactly me. That was exactly me.
Yeah, so I'm gonna assume that like we're probably gonna get most of the lords in there, right? And with all the Gaiden hype, I'm really gonna assume that Almond Celica will be in there too. So I guess I'd want like some of the more obscure characters that like really might not end up in there. So somebody that I've always liked and that I was really happy to see him come to Heroes was Corel from Fire Emblem 7. Really like him. And let's see. Because the problem is, and that's the same thing with the poll with Fire Emblem Heroes when we had that first, forget what they called it, like the Choose Your Own Heroes poll.
Yeah.
I was almost mad to see like Ike win that because I was like, wait, guys, like, you know they have to put him in, right? Like he's got to be in, and he was in the he's in like the opening like montage of the game and like the trailers and stuff before we even had him in the game. Like you knew he was coming. Yeah. So to me, I was like, I'm gonna use this poll to like vote for the most obscure freaking characters that I like, and like hopefully they'll get in or something like that. So I voted for like some weird characters.
Like who?
I think I voted for Horus in Fire Emblem 11. He is this blue-haired general. I don't know if you're familiar. He's on the path that you take if you do the Gaiden chapters.
Yeah, I know of him. I know of him, yeah.
Yeah. And like Etzel is a red-haired dark mage that you get there too that I really liked. But the problem with that is most people didn't like doing those Gaiden chapters in Fire Emblem 11 because you had to have 15 or less units alive. So basically you just had to like purposefully get just about everybody killed. And then actually the funny thing about that game too was after a while they started giving you generic units with like random names to like fill out your ranks if you didn't have enough guys. So you basically like every chapter had like a whole new group to slaughter within your guy. But to be honest, like I think that ended up being like one of my most favorite save files of all time. It's really ironic, but I liked it, and even though most people hate it, I thought that was an interesting way to do the Gaiden chapters. But yeah, so I would just pick like obscure characters for sure. If I had to pick another one, let's see. I really like Guy. Guy was always like my favorite Myrmidon, like growing up, or like Joshua from Sacred Stones. Definitely like to see like that in there. Yeah. So we'll see. Like I wonder how big they're gonna make the cast. I guess we should go look at Hyrule Warriors and see how many people that they put in there. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think they're just gonna throw in all the main heroes and hopefully they put in. I think they might even throw in Soren. I think Soren would be a cool addition to that game too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably just mostly the main.
That.
Yeah. Mostly the main characters. Who is next? Justice00. Congrats, Gast. What do you think about personal skills? And what would you think would be the personal skill of past Fire Emblem characters?
Ooh.
Yeah, I actually really find personal skills as a really great addition to Fire Emblem. I think anything that gives a character more personality and gives them more of an identity, especially in a game with such, like before personal skills, you just had characters who differentiated stat-wise just by being differently stat-wise, and their distribution was different. But with personals, you get some quirky skills. Some are pretty useless, but characters with interesting or good personal skills, like it reflects well on their personality, which is something I also really enjoy. And sometimes it really makes them, sometimes it gives them an edge over other characters.
Yep. Yeah, I think the only thing I don't like about that is when somebody has like a gimpy skill and then it makes them like worse, especially like I guess meta wise, like if it makes that unit worse off and people are like, oh no, you should pick, the other Myrmidon because that he has a better skill, and it's like that stinks to me. But I do like it when it enhances their personality, or if it like goes with it. Like I think I'm trying to remember, but I know in Fates like certain people have certain skills that go with like their character quirks, which I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah, it's pretty, like it's kind of the theme for those personal skills in that game. Like Perry, who I hate, has Bloodthirst, and then there's Mozu, who has Forager, and then there's Keaton, who has that fucking bomb sniffing skill where he finds things on the ground. But that's pretty much, that's the fun part about it.
Yep.
And what would you think would be the personal skill of past FE characters? That's a tough one.
Yeah.
That's a tough question. I think Innes would probably have something like Leo's, where he would do more damage against injured enemies. Just because Innes is kind of like, I find Innes and Leo quite similar personality-wise, except that where Leo has the inferiority complex, Innes is just like super jealous that Ephraim is like related to Erica.
Yeah. I'm gonna go the easy way out. I'm gonna go the easy way out and say Joshua from Fire Emblem 8 Sacred Stones would probably have like Gamble, because I think if I recall correctly about his character, he was all about betting.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But to come up with like a better one, I think it would take me a little while to remember a lot of the characters.
Yeah, for sure. But that's a good one. T-Dog7, what makes FE2 so good? Well, this is actually something I actually think about. And when I look back at my like passion for FE2, I'm like, why do I like this game so much? Because there were so many times where during the playthrough of Gaiden, where I was just so frustrated with the dumb shit it did.
Yeah.
And it's like, and there were so many things that were like, if you don't have a friend with you or a guide, you literally will not experience this game the way you want, like the way I did, because it's super cryptic. Like, it is crazy cryptic. It's one of those classic, this makes no sense kind of NES games. And when people ask me like, why do you like Gaiden so much? It's just one of those things where you played it, you liked what it was doing, you thought it was authentic, you thought it did things that clearly could have, like, you did things that if it had the technology, it would be a lot more better than it was. And this is what we see in Echoes. I was really intrigued by the world map, and I was really intrigued by the dungeon crawling aspects. But the world map was pretty straightforward, and in fact, I think it was the best world map in any Fire Emblem to date. I think the Sacred Stones world map while it is obviously inspired from Gaiden, it didn't have both parties interacting with the map simultaneously.
Yep.
And with Awakening, Gaiden, I don't want to spoil anything for you because you haven't played it, but to those who've played Gaiden and to those who obviously completed Awakening, there was aspects in the Gaiden map, the Gaiden world map, that made it a lot more restrictive. And if there was okay, you know how in Awakening you're getting chased down by like Gangrel, or you're getting chased down by Plegia, and then Basilio's like, oh man, we have to escape, here's my escape route, we gotta go now, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
If that was in Gaiden, you would be forced to play that chapter, and you wouldn't be able to just explore the rest of the map while actual like plot drama is unfolding. So in that regard, the Gaiden world map was ahead of its time, not only because it tried new things, but also because the things that it did has not been surpassed by the later games yet. And the dungeon crawling aspect was so interesting, and there were some dungeons in Gaiden that were that had a lot, that were quite lengthy, and were sort of like Pokemon caves and Pokemon like level type things. But you look at the dungeon crawling in Echoes, and it's like, it looks pretty expensive, and they elaborated so much more on the very core principles of Gaiden that it's just like, wow, like they've done so much with this concept, that this concept originally must have been like, it just has to be ahead of its time. Like if it's being so fleshed out now, it had all these ideas, and it was just it's hard to explain, but it was so innovative, and it did so many cool things, and even and the mistakes that it made, and the blunders, and the very, very archaic things that it did, that you look back and you're like, what the hell are you thinking, game? It's still part of the experience, part of the charm. And that's what I really, really enjoy about it. It's just a charming game. The writing is actually pretty funny. And it's not perfect, and I like it for not being perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what makes FE2 so good. Okay, so Pothead asks, oh, that's a Bloodlines question. Will you be doing stream working on Bloodlines or playing Fire Emblem? I did that already, so never mind. Okay, this is one that we can both answer. Vinimar, what games do you like aside from Fire Emblem? I said that I liked. That's tough. I'm like one of those guys who almost exclusively plays Fire Emblem. I played Super Smash Bros. Melee. I used to play it competitively, actually, and yeah, it's either that or Fire Emblem. So, and you seem like you are a lot more diverse of a gamer. So how about you take a tackle at this one?
Yeah, I mean, for me, growing up, it was all about Game Boy Advance. I never had an actual console. The first console that we owned as a family was a GameCube, right? And I think sales-wise, they consider GameCube a failure, but I thought the GameCube was amazing. But yeah, before that, there was no NES, no SNES, so it was Game Boy Color, which started with Pokemon, and then Game Boy Advance. And I was fortunate to have this friend that basically all of the cool classic games I learned about from him. So Golden Sun was a really awesome series for me, and because we haven't seen another one in so long, it's kind of sad. So that's why I wanted to make one of the recent videos that I put out about Golden Sun. But also Advance Wars, which is like Fire Emblem, but you're just using generic units instead of actual characters. Always loved that game. And the fact that Nintendo didn't make a new one, someone else obviously had the idea to bring it back. So I think it's called Wargroove. Some third party is making basically a new Advance Wars, but it's medieval, like Fire Emblem. So that I'll be sure to check out. I think it's on the Switch though, so I'll have to wait a little bit for that because I'm not buying a Switch ASAP. I'm gonna wait a little, but yeah, stuff like that.
Someone asked, "Are you playing Wargroove? Are you going to be trying out Wargroove when it comes out?" And I was like, "What is that? A dance fighter? I don't know."
Yeah, I know the name's a little weird.
And so it actually is a spiritual successor to, or an inspired game from Advance Wars. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, because even the little combat scenes look exactly like it. It's just medieval characters.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so just I don't know. I'm just like an RPG fan in general. I like the Tales series. I like at this point I should have tried Persona, but I've never played Persona. Anything like that, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I loved the GameCube. I still have my GameCube on me. Like,
Yep.
Man, I think it was a fantastic console. I know exactly how you feel.
Yeah. The quality of the games was so good. Like these days, like with the Wii, I understand because they were trying to get more people involved, like families and people that usually wouldn't play video games. So like I understand. But you get such like bloatware and like crapware now. Like half of the game section in the store is so bad, you know? The GameCube was before that. So like just about every game was so quality. Even like the stupid movie games, you know, that are like never good were like okay, right? I don't know. No, maybe not.
Maybe
the ones that we got were still okay. not many of them, but
I don't know. Okay, The Hobbit. Did you ever play The Hobbit for GameCube?
No.
Okay, no. I don't know if it was a movie game because I don't think The Hobbit came out, but I guess it was based off the book.
Yep.
And it was the worst thing I've ever played in my life. And like, it was this awful, ugly, like Legend of Zelda kind of game, and it was just, I hated it. I hated everything about it. It was so gross. But I digress. The GameCube was amazing, yeah, there was a ton of awesome games for it. I remember playing like Star Fox Assault like crazy with my friend.
Oh, I like that game. Yeah, that had the PvP, right, where you could like run around and get into tanks and stuff.
Yeah. That was great. Like the Legend of Zelda games, I loved. I played Metroid Prime and Prime 2, Tales of Symphonia, Baten Kaito. I played a bunch of like really good GameCube games. Now that I think about it, it was a sick console.
Yeah.
Yeah,
maybe I dodged that bullet by not getting like The Hobbit, but the games that we had, like, I'm pretty sure we've beaten like over 90% of them, and we can't say that about like the Wii and some of the other consoles we have because like some of those games like we just didn't care to go back to, you know?
Yeah,
it was good.
GameCube was a treasure. And Path of Radiance, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Which is $200 now or something.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. That's why a lot of people, I guess, would probably consider someone like me like a hoarder, because like I wouldn't get rid of that, and I would never get rid of that GameCube, right? Like even if I was like 30 or 40 and like never touched it and it had dust on it, like I just know that I don't want to get rid of that.
Yeah, it's definitely something worth keeping.
Yeah, but now you see why, because like now everybody's freaking out trying to buy that game, and it's ridiculously priced.
Yeah. Okay, this is one that's gonna be really good for both of us. Go Joshua 7 plays, what got you started on YouTube, and who was your biggest inspiration to do it?
Oh.
Okay, so what got me started on YouTube? Well, I come from I do ROM hacks. I'm not sure if you know this, Stevie, but like
yes, I do.
Yeah, okay. Well, I started doing like ROM hacks for FE7, and then I started getting into just really basic editing to the ROM. And then one of the people I watched the most when it came to that was Marky Joe, who did these FE ROM hack reviews and stuff. And I thought, I didn't even know you could actually hack Fire Emblem. And when I saw that, and I was like, wow, that looks so cool. Like you can actually like put your own sprites in it and stuff. I thought my mind was blown. So that was sort of like how I got started on to being like not quite a YouTuber per se, but like being inspired by YouTubers. And my first videos were a Let's Play of FE7, which didn't last too long, because then I started to do other things. I did like tutorials on ROM hacking, and then I just continued doing Let's Plays. And so I think, watching content based off what was interesting at the time and then sort of working off that was what got me started and got the ball rolling for me. And who was my biggest inspiration? I don't know. Inspiration is kind of a bold word to use here, but I mean, I looked at Let's Players and I was like, oh, that seems fun as hell. Like playing video games and showing your experience. So yeah, I don't know if there's a singular big who inspired me to start doing Let's Plays, but I think it was just like the idea of a Let's Play would be something I would really want to try pursuing. And then one thing led to another, and then ta-da. What about you? You kind of alluded to it at the beginning, but I guess you can dive into it again, perhaps.
Yeah. And yes, I knew you did the ROM hacks. I haven't seen anything that you actually made, but I think Bloodlines is that, right? Is that what you're working on? Yes. Yeah, I actually like some of the ROM hacks videos that you were that you put out. I think there was one recently. I don't remember which one it was, but it was like you killing like weirdo, bizarro versions of your characters. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, that was for Make a Fun Chapter, and that wasn't me, but that was this guy named Invader Sim who made a ROM hack called Staff of Ages, and his submission was as a joke, like pretty much fighting his beta ROM hack with his like current build. That was the joke behind it. But
that was pretty meta. I like that. Yeah, I like those ROM hack videos actually. So for me, I always knew that YouTube was a cool thing because I spent a lot of time watching videos on it. And in high school, I actually made my first YouTube channel. And I don't know, should I reveal what it was? It was actually a Yu-Gi-Oh channel, believe it or not.
Oh shit, that's awesome.
I'm not gonna say the name. Like someday I'll reveal what the name of it was. It's still out there. The videos are still up there. But
okay.
it's so bad at this point. Like it's just laughable. Maybe someday I'll go back to it and like, I don't know, record a video laughing at it or something. Yeah,
cringe or something.
Yeah, cringing. Yeah, and I got really into it, but after a while, then I went to college because it was right around like the end of high school that time, and it was just so hard to keep up with my work, and I kind of got out of Yu-Gi-Oh like as a, you know, like generally, and then it kind of died at that point. I had like 1,500 subscribers, and so like I was pretty proud of that back then because like building up from the beginning is really, really challenging, you know. And, yeah, so I had that experience like making the videos and stuff. So this time around, just doing like a gaming channel, I just knew that there were certain videos that I wanted to make that nobody was making. Like these days, when people talk about like retro, like the Angry Video Game Nerd and like people like that, it's always like NES or SNES, right?
Yeah.
But like I don't like those weren't the games that I grew up with, so like I can't do anything like that. But I wanted to do like Game Boy Advance games because at this point, like it's been a long time since we had those games, right? Like early 2000s already. It's already been like 15 years for a lot of these games, and a lot of them we haven't seen again, right? Like Golden Sun is pretty much dead at this point. Things like that. So nobody was talking about any of that kind of stuff. So I knew that I wanted to talk about that, and yeah, I don't know that there's like one person that specifically got me to want to make videos, but I think the idea in general, right? Like yeah, it just seemed fun. It's challenging to stick with it, but I think it's rewarding, especially once you get over that hump, right? Because in the beginning, it's like it's so hard because you put out videos and you put so much effort into them, and in the beginning nobody is watching, right? It's you have to get found at some point.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's kind of, you know, it's funny because it's pretty much like real life where it doesn't really matter what your credentials are or how smart you actually are. You need people who have connections, and then you network, you build up a network, and of course you can start from the very bottom and make a name for yourself that way, but like it is so much easier to like find a guy who looks at you and they're like, oh, I like where you're going, and I see the potential in you, and like you're networking that way.
Yep.
And it really, oh my god, it's just like real life. It's actually pretty interesting.
Yeah. And I mean, like, you could see it with big YouTubers too. I mean, PewDiePie made a second channel, and in a day he reached 1 million subscribers. It was something like that, or was it 100,000? It was 100,000 because he needed a new like silver play button or something. But like, you can see how far it snowballs, right? Like at first nobody's watching you, and then it begins like building up as you can continue along. So
yeah, and once you get over that 1,000 subscriber hump, it's just like the numbers just get a lot more. It's like a recognition, like people, I don't know, maybe like the system just recognizes that you exist, because after that hump, it's like things get a lot easier.
Yeah, I think it rewards you too for like sticking with it, and I think that's one of the other cool things about YouTube is even though everybody like complains about it, nobody 100% knows like how everything works. So that's the kind of cool thing, is you can kind of experiment and kind of try to find your own way and carve your own niche into it, you know?
Yeah. There's definitely cool things around, and there's definitely cool ways to like move around YouTube and stuff like that for sure. All right. So this is one that's similar to what I get usually. Evil Riku. Whom is your most favorite character and for what reason? Which is your favorite couple in all FE games?
Oh,
your
geez.
favorite villain and for what reason? Which FE character resembles you the most? And if you could go on a date and have a relationship with any FE character, no matter the age or gender or race, whom would it be? Okay, so let's talk about the first one, then break it down here. Who is your most favorite character and for what reason? Now, I've mentioned this a few times. My favorite character is Dusel. I like Dusel the most, and I think I've explained this once already in the first podcast. But the reason why I like Dusel so much is that not only are his supports probably one of the best in the game, and probably one of the best in the entire franchise, he's so relevant in the story, and it's something you don't really see often with a character who's so well written in both the main campaign and their supports, where he's just like an all-inclusive package. He has, he comes from an enemy, Dusel, like he comes from the enemy side, and then he switches over. But his act of treason and betraying Grotto is such an integral part of his character that it bleeds into his supports, and a lot of his supports deal with this very real sensation of his guilt, and you can actually feel his guilt, and he has a pretty sad support with Null, and he also has sad but like uplifting kind of support with Ephraim, but it all relates to who Dusel is, and just like what makes him great. And I love it. I absolutely love Dusel as a character. I love his design. I love the kind of characters who are like old grizzled war vets.
Yeah.
They're just always super cool. Like that's why I like Molder's not a war vet, but he's an old guy who's seasoned and stuff.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of characters I like. So like for me, Dusel is like, he's got everything going for him. Also, he's a sick unit. And apparently, my friend told me this, but if you do a 0% growth run on FE8, he's one of the only characters who will survive a hit by the Demon King.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Makes sense because he's pretty beefy.
Yeah. So what about you? Favorite character and why?
Oh, geez. That's a really hard one. It's definitely changed a lot over time. Like, okay, so the first favorite character ever was Guy, because for some reason I've always liked the Myrmidon and the Swordmaster characters. Not so much recently. I don't like Lonku that much. Like he's fine and everything, but he's just a little too plain for me. And I didn't really like Hinata in Fates either.
Oh, don't get me started with that guy. Do not get me started with Hinata. Yeah. He's my arch nemesis. He's my nemesis.
Yep. At least in like every single game there was one I liked. Like the cool thing about like Path of Radiance was you had like Zehark, you had like Stefan, he was cool. But yeah, if I had to say one, like the first one ever would be Guy. Then obviously I liked Joshua and Marissa. Right now, if I had to pick a favorite character, I'm really liking Karel. In Fire Emblem Heroes, he's awesome. His skills are good. And just going back and like reading the history about him again, about how he's like this crazed like sword demon killer and stuff. And in Fire Emblem 6, he's like a bit different. He gives that up, I think, right? I've never played Fire Emblem 6. I still need to get around to doing that. Yeah.
Yeah. He's Karel's cool because in FE7 he was like this bloodthirsty like monster, and like in retrospect I don't know if Eliwood was like doing the right thing when he recruited this guy, because he was a fucking psycho. Yeah. But in FE6 he's like this old still super amazingly experienced like character, but he's just like not crazy.
Yeah. And his whole family is cool too, because he's got Carla.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I like that.
Yeah.
And actually, he's Fur's uncle too, right? I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Or is it Fur's uncle? Yeah, Fur's uncle. Yeah,
something
because
like that. Yeah.
Barter and Carla have Fur, and then that makes sense. Now the next one is which is your favorite couple in all FE games? So, favorite couple. Now is it like established couple or like?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, but I don't know.
Yeah. That's a good question. I don't really know. I haven't really looked at any like supports like that. But I guess Almond Celica. Almond Celica. Yeah, I'm so stoked to see what they do with Echoes with Almond Celica. But yeah, they have there's this one line in Gaiden which is like the line what goes down, and it's just like, that is so amazing. I won't say it because I want to see if they keep it in Echoes, but
yep.
there was a moment in Gaiden where I was just like, these two fucking sick.
Yeah.
Power
and they've been so faithful too, so I bet you it will be in there, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure. What about you, favorite couple? Are you having the same sort of trouble as I am?
I'm gonna do like a meme joke one first, and I'm gonna go Ephraim and Erica. Because there's all the incest stuff about them, you know? But,
yeah.
And actually, like, serious one, off the top of my head, I'm going to say Pent and Louise in Fire Emblem 7.
Mm-hmm.
Pent being the sage that you get, and Louise is that archer with the pink bow. I don't know, I just thought they were kind of cute as a couple playing through the game. They just seem like older and better than everybody.
Yeah.
I don't really remember their supports so much, but I just remember liking them, so I thought they were pretty nice.
Yeah, it's cool how they did that. It's kind of rare to see two characters who immediately have an A rank with each other. Like, they are set, they're married. I think it's a cool. I don't think it ever has happened in there's FE4, but even those pairings. Well, no, there's FE4 and there's Sigurd and Deirdre, who are meant to be together because that's how the story progresses. But yeah, it's something that's not really often explored. Is like characters who are both already together.
Yeah. Especially these days where they're kind of capitalizing on the waifu emblem stuff a little bit. So they want you to be able to pick like whoever you want, you know?
A little bit. Yeah. Yeah. You wanna, that's an understatement. Yeah. But no, I know exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly what you mean. Okay, I'm gonna like this question. Your favorite villain and for what reason? I like my favorite villain. I love answering this question. I think my favorite villain is Orson and Walter.
Oh, okay. Yep.
And I also I used to not like Zephiel, but now I really like Zephiel. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I like Orson and Walter is because they sort of changed the entire tone of FE8. Yeah. Because Orson, look, when I was doing my FE8 review video, this is what happens in whatever. Mm-hmm. I was playing the game and I don't really remember Orson being that significant, but the reason he does all this stuff is because Leon promises him that Monica will be back, and he gives him Monica, but it's her corpse, and all she can say is, it's like a zombie,
right?
Yeah. And all she can say is "darling," and Orson is he's just done. He's completely shattered. He's a shell of himself, and he's obsessed with this dead corpse. And literally the most vivid moment of that game was when they kill Orson and then they open the door and they just see this corpse and it's muttering "darling" over and over and over. It doesn't have to explain anything. What's going on. It's just this corpse on a chair or something, and it's just rotting away, but it is Monica. Yeah. And the fact that it is Monica is that it's all Orson needs. It's all Orson needs is that it is Monica. And for me, it was just this super sobering moment. And it was just, wow, this game just pulled that shit.
Yeah. And if I remember correctly, someone will probably correct me, but I think it was a good plot twist too, because I don't think there was really that much to imply that it was coming either. And then that was a whole chapter where he was the boss. Yeah.
Yeah. Because he took over Renee.
Yeah.
And Renee just became Renee after he took over Renee sucked. Renee was it was Orson didn't give a shit. He doesn't care about Renee. He cares about Monica.
Yeah.
That's all. And with Walter, I don't know if you know his full story, but this is one of the reasons why I love Dussel so much, is because Dussel gave Walter a lance, this cursed lance. And this was the lance that, if I remember correctly, was the thing that made Walter go crazy. Mm-hmm. And so Dussel is responsible for Walter going mad. and then Walter becomes this psycho, like, just like this crazy dude. And there was the part where in the desert when Erica fights Walter, and he's like, he says something that really implies that Erica, like, he wants Erica to be like his slave, like sex slave or whatever. And it was just like, what is this game even? Like, this is dark stuff. Like, I was talking with my friend and I was like, man, FE8 like low key is the darkest game in the franchise. Like, it just pulls these little subtle like hints that this game is a lot darker than its its other games. And it was like Walter's just like, I want to chain you up like a bird or some shit. And I was like, what the
Yep.
Yeah.
That jogs my memory when you said that. Yeah.
Yeah. And my next one is Zephiel. Now, it took me a while to appreciate Zephiel, because at first I was like, this guy's just this boring, like, whatever. He just wants to destroy the world. No biggie. But the kind of villains that I have an affinity for lately in Fire Emblem are ones who are just like huge, like, general king guys with a bunch of armor who give absolutely no shits about anyone else, who are just like, they aren't like, their mind isn't corrupted by like some dark force like Leon was, or like Ashnard was kind of. Well, Ashnard wasn't really corrupted. Wasn't
it the medallion though, or something?
Yeah, the medallion, like, he touched the medallion at the end and made him go crazy, but before that he'd never touched it. But like, enemies, like bosses who are just themselves and they aren't corrupted by an outside force and are just straight up like salve, like, those kind of guys are the ones I like these days. And for that reason, I don't like Leon that much. I really don't. I'm not really impressed with him as a villain, because he doesn't like, like, aesthetically, I like a villain who's just like fucking beefy and will just like fuck you up. Like, he's just like a general king and he just does not care.
Yeah, his animations are good too with the swinging around.
Yeah, he does, like, Zephiel's a guy who like has a goal. He doesn't care how it's done. He just gets it done. Like, those super ambitious guys who give no like literally terrifying people.
Yep.
Like, those kind of villains are the ones I like. What about you?
Yeah, and you know, he was interesting too, because he was a kid in Fire Emblem 7, and I don't remember his full story. I read it at one point, like, on the wiki, because I never played Fire Emblem 6. But that was a sad story too, and so like, you understood why he was so evil there. Yeah, and I definitely agree with what you said about Fire Emblem 8 being like a little bit darker than it seemed, because I think, if I remember correctly, at one point you kill this Manakete boss near the end of the game, and like, they don't ever outright say it, but I'm pretty sure it's like heavily implied that it's like Myr's father, like the Manakete, the Manakete that you have. So it's like, there was some messed up stuff going on there.
It was like these subtle things like that you might miss the first time.
Yeah. And that also makes it better too, going back, especially these days. Yeah. If I had to pick a favorite boss though, I really liked the Demon King in Sacred Stones. There wasn't really anything that special about him, but I liked his design. And these days it just seems like we get like Grima or something like that, you know? Like, it's just this like dragon-esque boss.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm gonna say like Nurgle in Fire Emblem 7 was pretty cool. I don't know. There's not like a character thing about him that I really liked. I think it was just because it was the first time around that, you know, I'd been playing a Fire Emblem game and I just liked what he did. And I liked the morphs that he created. I thought that was pretty cool. And the twists a little bit at the end of Fire Emblem 7 I thought were pretty interesting, like what he did and what happened with some of the characters. So yeah, I'll go with Nurgle.
Yeah. What's a villain you don't like that much? Like, just it's just like, you don't have to explain why, but there's other questions here.
I got it. So I haven't finished Fates, and that's like a real shit. Like,
oh god,
I don't have a problem with the newer games being like waifu emblem games. Like, I'm okay with either. I definitely understand both, you know, sides of the community, that like, you know, either the old school or the new school. I think there's a place for everybody, because at this point, you know, Awakening did save the franchise. So, you know, moving forward, I think everybody's just gonna have to get along in one way or another. And that's the good thing about Echoes too, because I think that might show a lot of the new people, hey, here's how it was old school. Maybe you'll like this. And I think it also gives all the old school fans a new game to play and enjoy again, right? If they didn't like Awakening or Fates. But Yeah, I really need to finish Fates, and I just haven't. I'm like at the end of Birthright, and I started a Let's Play with Conquest, but I'm not good at keeping up with Let's Plays. Like I don't know, I just never, I never stick through with them. So I'm only a couple chapters in on that, and then obviously I haven't played Revelation. But Garen, like, I don't know like any spoilers about the end of Fates at all, really, but just how cartoony Garen. Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure you don't need to know. I don't think there's a real plot twist with him because he's just such a cartoony villain. And the fact that
there's nothing happens. Like he's literally the most oh my god. Yeah,
he's just straight up evil with every sentence. Nobody they're like, okay, Dad, thanks. Like, you're not trying to get us killed. It's cool. And the fact that they had a manga writer do Fates, I think, just really that makes me mad. You know?
Yeah.
Like when they didn't have manga writers, I thought the stories were better. So I don't really know what happened there. And that's not that's not to crap on it for anybody. If you like it, that's great. But for me, like, he was just so cartoony. Give me like a guy that's like, okay, he's evil, but like you can maybe understand why he's evil, or there's actually some like good character development or something like that. But he just had none of that, you know?
Yeah. It is kind of tragic too because he had potential, but like, I think the manga thing. I think there was a writer who I can't confirm this, so don't take my word for it, but I think he sort of outlined the story. But he didn't actually like full out write the entire thing. Okay. So he gave the outline out, and then I think people who were working on the story just rolled with that, and then they just gave us what Fates was. So I don't know if he's like chiefly responsible for like this awful story, but I can definitely understand Garen being your least favorite. I think that's a very acceptable answer these days. All right. Which Effie character resembles you the most? Okay. I think I had an answer for this one.
Yeah, I gotta think about that.
Yeah. When I had long hair, someone said I reminded them of Vake.
Really?
And I don't know. Yeah. And I was like, okay, he's blonde and he's like brown skinned, but okay. Yeah. Resembles me the most. Someone once said I took this as an insult, but someone told me that I look like Makalov from Tellius. Like the guy with the pink hair.
The pink hair. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, thanks. Appreciate that one. He's kind of this like bum ass alcoholic gambler. Like, thanks, bud.
You know what? You're right. They were actually kind of a douche with that character too. Like, he didn't really have any redeeming qualities. That's like hands down. That's my best friend Cameron's least favorite character ever. Like, just mentioning that character's name like triggers him. So funny. I never hated him, but yeah, he was like an alcoholic gambler, wasn't he? He lost all their money.
Yeah, he's intentionally like just the worst. Like, and I can't really that's one of the things where it's like I don't hate Makalov. I think I actually kind of like Makalov, but because he's written to be like actually the worst person ever.
Yeah,
which is sort of charming in itself because you don't really see it that much in Fire Emblem. Like someone who's like a recruitable character who seems to be intentionally awful.
Yeah,
like I mean, there's Perry, but like. Perry shouldn't even be in the army. At least Makalov is like in the army, even though he's like fucking around half the time. But at least he's being held accountable too. And Perry is never held accountable for her actions. But I digress.
Yeah. You know what's funny too? I was just thinking about it. All the pink-haired, I could be wrong. There's probably somebody that breaks the mold. But I'm remembering, I think his name was Roger in Fire Emblem 11. He had pink hair, and he was one of the knight characters you would get, like Armor Knight. And he was like a not so great character either. I think he was like obsessed with love or something like that. But because there were support conversations, like he wasn't ever really fleshed out. But I always feel like for some reason it seems to me, like off the top of my head, it seems like the pink-haired characters are always kind of like pathetic in a way, you know?
I don't know, but I mean Sarah had pink hair in
Oh yeah, that's true.
So you might be onto something. That's an interesting idea. I don't really know. That might just be like some speculation, but I mean we have that guy from F11. I don't know how people like Sarah. I think she's a meme. I think Sarah's a meme.
Yeah, I think so too. I never hated her, but I think she was kind of like She's kind of bitchy or something, wasn't she? There was something about her.
Oh yeah, she was like super pretentious.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there was Marcia who also had pink hair, and she was Macalav's sister.
She was okay.
And she was good. She was a good
okay.
girl.
So I'm
there was also S. There was also S.
Yeah,
who had pink hair.
S is fine. I don't know where that came from. I don't know. For some reason, there's a couple pink-haired characters that are just like not.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong. Like, there's Perry. I mean, she has blue hair, but
she has like
her
pink
hair.
pigtails.
Apparently, she dyes her hair pink with like the fucking blood of her enemies. Like, that's
really?
cool. It's kind of disgusting, but sure. Anyways, who do you look like, Stevie?
Oh, jeez. That's a hard one for me. I think the answer that I could give recently is Barth's artwork in Fire Emblem Heroes. His hair has kind of like this spiky thing going on to it, and mine kind of swerves like that a little bit. Or at least that's the style that I kind of go with. So my hair's not blue, but I think hairstyle wise, I guess I look a little bit like Barth. Yeah.
Yeah, I think hairstyle wise, kind of a question is way more easy to answer.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you look like Barth's hairstyle wise. I think me right now, I think there actually was a character in FE11. I think his name was Mathis.
Yeah.
He kind of had like short hair with like that also sort of was a swerve too.
Yeah, it was yeah, it was something. He was a cavalier. He had like purpley pink hair.
Yeah, he had a sister or something.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. But also it kind of depends how long my hair is. Because I could be Mathis one day and then apparently I can look like Makalav the next. Give me a couple months and I'll be looking like Makalav. So yeah.
Mathis in the streets, Makalav in the sheets.
If you could go on a date or have a relationship with any FE character, no matter the age or gender or race, whom would it be? Now, I'll tell you what, Stevie, I won't judge you on anything you say. I won't judge you at all. Okay. So, if you have anyone, let me know. I'm gonna say, I'm trying to go by games here. I think Cecilia from FE6. Her artwork in Heroes is
she's cool.
Amazing. She has kind of a cool story. She kind of is semi-relevant in the campaign of FE6, but like I think she is sort of like this, like she's kind of like a cool mom type of character. Like
actually I saw
MILF, like a MILF. Like
really?
you can imagine her being, like, I'll be honest, you can imagine Cecilia being a MILF. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Somebody was posting there's like a Fire Emblem manga or something going on right now, or at least people that I follow on Twitter have been retweeting it. So yeah, I saw her like talking to a little girl and like getting treated as a mom. So you must be right. Yeah, I think it's based on Fire Emblem 6, this manga, but the main character is like Al or something like that. It's not Roy.
Huh.
I don't know.
Well,
it's interesting.
Well, Cecilia's she was like she was the teacher for Roy and Lima, so she might be doing that kind of, like she taught them. Yeah. So there's Cecilia. I'm out of the age of race. I don't know if I even want to answer that question, honestly. Yeah, I'm gonna say Cecilia. Petrine.
Oh, she was the evil general chick, right?
Yeah. She was. I think she was like my first Fire Emblem crush.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, she is a fucking dime.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Petrine. I think I would. Yeah. If there was any girl that was close to a waifu, because I'm not about that shit at all. But like when I was a kid, Petrine was like, oh my god.
Yeah. Okay.
huge crush on her.
That's what people say too. They're like, even though the old ones weren't waifu emblems, they still were waifu emblems.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. Like, that's the funny shit. Like, why do you think Lynn was so popular?
Yeah.
She's not a good character. Like, her relevance in the story is spotty. Her supports are decent. They're okay, but like, they remember her because they had a huge crush on her. like that's a funny sort of hypocrisy in this community where it's like, no, it's all waifu now. It's like, dude, shut up. When you were a kid, come on.
Yeah.
You Google search every image of your fucking Fire Emblem babe. Don't lie to me. All right, what about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to give like a waifu answer and then like an old school answer. Waifu wise, I'd have to say I really like Kagero from Fates. Obviously, I like Camilla because everybody likes Camilla. But to be less generic, I'll say Kagero. But I also like Tharia a lot. She was cool.
To be less generic.
Yeah, well, okay, Tharia's pretty generic. I guess Kagero is the least generic out of that answer, but she's still pretty up there. And I like her in Fates and in Heroes too. She's really good. Old school. You know who looks good? Well, everybody, but in Echoes, the Hidari artwork is awesome. Everybody looks so great in Echoes. Yeah. But Sonya's looking pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. She looks pretty nice.
Let's see. If I had to pick one from Fire Emblem 8 though, like actually old school. You know what? Marissa's pretty cool. I like Marissa. Yeah.
Yeah, she's got the legs.
Yeah. I liked her hairstyle too, actually, with that pink hair.
Oh, the pink hair.
Yeah. Yep, that's me.
I was gonna say something else, but I kind of forget what I was gonna say. Oh, you know Silk in Echoes?
Yes.
She has got the booty.
Does she actually?
she's got crazy booty, and I don't like. It's not even something that I'm infatuated with her artwork. It's just the fact that her character art is like her looking over her shoulder, kind of.
Yeah. Yes.
Like with her her butt sticking out, and it's like her character model in game and her art is just like she's got a butt.
Okay.
Like she's thick.
I know you're talking about with her looking over her shoulder, but I don't remember seeing the butt, so maybe I'll have to look at that later.
Yeah. I started calling her, me and my friends were joking about it, and I called her Thilk.
Yeah.
So that's where that is.
Yep.
All right, I think we'll just answer this question. We've been going for over an hour now, so. I guess that is. Oh, this might be a good question for both of us as well. This is gonna be the last one. Genuine Angus Beef. How the hell do you balance university and this much content? What do you think you are missing out on with what you're doing, and what you think others miss out on compared to you? So how do you balance university with this much content? I'll tell you what. It's not really hard for me. It's not really hard to balance because my degree at the time of doing YouTube was it wasn't really super stressful. It was only sort of arts degrees. I feel aren't a big deal until you have to write a paper, and then everything else leading up to it is just kind of chill. For me, that's what it was for me at least. And I'm usually pretty lazy with school anyway. I stopped trying in my my third or fourth year, so. I put a lot less effort in. It didn't affect my grades at all. I just knew how to be a student, and also I was just able to balance it's just you learn to balance all the stuff. And then I just sort of lost the passion for school in my fourth year, so it was easier to balance university and content because I put more effort into content than university. Which sounds bad, but I'm graduated, so whatever. It's just learning, I guess, how to balance and prioritizing things and stuff like that. And what do you think you're missing out on with what you're doing? I'll tell you what, man. I don't really think I'm missing out on much. I live in the city. I have a bunch of friends who love to party. I don't know. I think I have a pretty decent social life, and I can balance university and content creation. Yeah, I mean, of course, I'm pretty lucky because I'm sort of just in a good situation where I could have all those things in my life. Mm-hmm. So it kind of it's kind of lucky that I am able to balance all this stuff. But that's pretty much the answer to that question. Okay, so what about you? How do you balance? Did you do YouTube while you were in university?
A little bit, yeah. Before I let that go, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, that was definitely really hard for me. I think the only way I made it work at first was because I didn't have much of a social life, I guess, for like the first like 2 years of college. Definitely the first year. I was a little bit shell shocked. Like I was friends with all the people on my floor and everything because I dormed. But aside from that, like I didn't go out every night or, most weekends. Sometimes I went to parties, but it wasn't that big of a deal. So the first like 2 or so years of college, I was a bit more introverted, and that made it a lot easier. But obviously, like that's a sacrifice, right, Lynn? Your social life does take a hit. That's the cost of that. And then I wasn't able to balance it. So then I kind of stopped making videos there for a while. Now these days, it's definitely still not so good balancing act. I'm not the best at it even today. I actually got laid off of my job last year in about this time in April, and wow. I decided like, hey, let's try to make something out of this YouTube thing, right? And that's looking back, like that was a dumb idea. I shouldn't have done that. I should have like moved on to the next thing, but also did YouTube on the side. The problem though is like with 40-hour-a-week jobs, like that's, it's challenging, doing all that, like working all day and then going home and working until you go to bed, to make videos to put out, like that's its own challenge, right?
Yeah, of course.
And so I'm still like on the job hunt now because I only officially like started looking for jobs again, probably beginning of this year or end of last year. So you definitely don't want to do that in the beginning of YouTube because it's obviously nowhere near sustainable because you're just starting out. Nobody's looking at your stuff. So I should have started it while I had something else going on,
Mm-hmm.
That would have been the very smart thing to do, but that's not what I did. And so, yeah, at this point it's I could see how it's going to get harder again if and when I do get something, hopefully soon-ish. But even right now, like even though I'm not working right now, because I'm doing the videos and stuff, like it's still hard to juggle everything in life, right? All the people, all the friends you're letting down by not going on Skype or not going out with or not messaging because you're too, obsessed with putting out the next video or recording something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's something that you have to find a balance for, and I definitely have not successfully 100% found it yet, but hopefully soon. We'll see.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we've answered I don't know, a handful of questions. We've been making this video for about an hour and 10 minutes. So I think it's safe to say, part 3 of the podcast is complete. Stevie, I would just like to say thank you so much for joining. I think this was a really entertaining and fun, video. It was really great to get to know you. This is like the first time we actually chatted, but I think both of us really hit it off.
Yeah,
it was a really good video.
Yeah, you seem really cool. I like you too. I'm honored to be on here. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. Well, maybe we can work on some more collabs together.
Yeah,
that'd be pretty cool. Well, the guys, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Gast.
I'm Stevie with Lucky Crit.
And catch you guys next time. Deuces.
Doosel.